Do you want to know how to crush self-doubt today? This video is definitely for you.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about how to crush self-doubt. To do so, we need to understand the roots of our psychology and the biology of needing to fit in. Self-doubt is not something unique to you or to me or to the lady walking down the street who looks like she has everything put together. Trust me, she has self-doubt too. It is a universal experience for all of us as human beings living on this planet Earth. Throughout our evolution as a species, the need to fit in was essential to our survival. We lived in small, tight-knit communities, and we relied on each other for gathering, hunting, and protecting ourselves. Our ancestors very quickly realized that fitting in increased the chances of their survival. If you didn't conform to the expectations and to the norms of your tribe, that potentially meant being ostracized, which also meant potential certain death because of the harsh environments that they lived in. So fast forward to today. While we've come a very long way from our tribal roots, the need to fit in is still part of our psychological programming. We are simply wired to seek acceptance and to fear social rejection, because in the past, not doing those things might have meant being cast out and losing our protection and our access to resources. So self-doubt is actually in many ways a protective mechanism of our brain. It's that voice that says, wait a minute, are you sure that's a good idea? Is this gonna help you fit in, or is this going to cause rejection? I personally find that the first step of crushing self-doubt is understanding that everyone experiences it. I experience it, you experience it, your neighbor experiences it, we all do. Which makes the second step understanding that there's also a purpose for it, which we just learned about, right? It's understanding the roots of it and why it's a part of us and being okay with that. Which makes the third step accepting the fact that you will never completely crush it at all. It is an essential part of who we are, and we actually needed it in the past and need it somewhat today. Okay, so now let's move on to my favorite tool for crushing self-doubt. So once we have understood that it's universal, understood the psychology behind it, and accepted the fact that we will never completely get rid of it, I have found that one of the most effective tools for reducing self-doubt dramatically in my own life is learning to embrace my strengths. I stumbled upon this gem many, many years ago in a book called Now Discover Your Strengths, and the author was Marcus Buckingham. And honestly, when I read it, it was a game changer from then on. The idea is really simple, yet profound. Instead of fixating on our weaknesses, which is what we normally do, we should spend our time and energy identifying, embracing, and then living from our strengths. Why? Because our strengths are where we shine, where we make the biggest impact. That is where our self-doubt begins to fade. Contrary to what we're often taught, having weaknesses is not a problem. It's just not. In fact, it's a part of the human condition and an essential part of who we are. We don't have to let our weaknesses define us or hold us back. We can embrace them as part of who we are, but then we can move past them and let them be a part of us while also allowing our strengths to be an even bigger part of us. And that's where most of us get hung up. But by focusing on our strengths, we can transcend our self-doubt and honestly become more confident than we've ever been before in our lives. Okay, so how do you discover your strengths? The book that I mentioned is a good resource, but I will tell you it is more like a business and management book. At the time I read it, I was a stay-at-home mom, but for some reason it was massively impactful in my life. And I do recommend it. It is a great place to start. Additionally though, friends, family, and colleagues can be a really good place to turn to if you really aren't sure about what your strengths are. Sometimes they have insight into what they see in you and what they notice about you. Let me just point out as well that we're talking about strengths here, not talents. I'm not talking about if you are an amazing singer, if you can play an instrument, if you are a great public speaker, if you are an athlete, if you've run a marathon. That is not what we're talking about. We are talking about your strengths, the things inside of you that are just special and different for some reason, just because of the way your brain wired, just because of who you are. For example, I'm a connector. I connect with people and I connect with ideas. Now that is not something that I would have identified as like a high schooler or as a kid and said, oh, that's a strength. That's something I'm really proud of. No, because at that time we're really just looking for talents. What am I good at? What am I not good at? And we're only looking for those that are very obvious to everyone. But what I'm asking you to do is to dig deeper and see where your strengths lie. Are you a connector? Do you see people differently than other people do? Do you understand the world more differently than others? Do you know how to talk so that others will listen? There's just so many ways that you can have strengths that have nothing to do with a list of talents. I can't find your strengths for you. That is only something that you can do with the help maybe of some family and friends. But what I will tell you is that if you will look for your strengths, if you will embrace them, sometimes we don't like to embrace what we're great at, and if you will live from them, it will be a formidable adversary to your self-doubt. It will crush your self-doubt as much as is possible. By deciding to embrace our weaknesses, but also embrace and live from our strengths, we just go about feeling like a more confident person. We understand why we're here, maybe what we're meant to contribute because of our understanding of our strengths. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to spend this week just noticing where maybe, just possibly, you might have a strength. Okay, so you're gonna go about your day and something's gonna happen or come up or a situation, you're gonna think, I wonder if that could be part of my strengths, if that might be a strength of mine. And I want you to write it down. Every single time, even a tiny thought of something that could be a strength. Maybe it's not, but if it could be, write it down. And at the end of the week, I want you to sit down and look at that list and do a little bit of a self-evaluation. Ask yourself, could these be my list of strengths? And I'm certain some of them are, and maybe all of them. And then I want you to see what it's like to think about those all week long instead of focusing on every little thing that you are maybe not so great at. I'm telling you, if you will do this, you will immediately have less self-doubt and more confidence. It is a practice and it is something that has to be learned and worked on, but it is the best place to start. Get out there, find your strengths, embrace your strengths, and start living from your strengths. You got this. I want to hear how it goes, so get back to me and let me know. Okay, did you like the video? Do you want to hear more? All right, then you gotta subscribe and go ahead and follow my social media channels as well. You can find the information right here. Okay, y'all, we'll see you later. Bye-bye, ciao, adios. And that's a wrap.